Hello and welcome back to another video. So what's happening right now with Lorcana? Well, the reprint has hit. We can take a look at the booster box. When I posted it, it only had like a $30 drop. But more and more reprints have hit the shelf. This Dice Gaming lowest one, 21 in stock, and it dropped down to 273. Again, MSRP is around that 160 range. So TCG player should be your last place to go to. So it's good to go to your local LGSs and see what they're selling them for. But I've been on Reddit and there's a lot of TCGs a lot of LGSs out there that are marking them up. They don't care about MSRP, which it makes sense because again, I don't know the contract. I don't know any of that because I did see on Reddit there is a contract where those LGSs sign that they should be selling it at MSRP, but they're not doing it. And I don't think Ravensburg really can control that unless they get reports and if they follow up. But again, Lorcana is just so small right now. It's not as big as Pokemon in their team. So, but I do think the first chapter has probably put in a little more funding for them, maybe because they're making a lot of money and they had the reprint and they're still making a lot of money. Because a lot of, like you see on here, a lot of brick and mortars are buying these booster boxes just to mark them up, so they are selling out for that. And I also saw on Reddit there was a small restock at a Toys R Us which just popped out of nowhere, and I think those sold pretty fast. I think someone said they sold within an hour or two after people finding out they restocked at Toys R Us. So I guess Toys R Us restocks everything on the same day, which is quite interesting. But your best bet is just partner up with your local game store. If they're still selling stuff over MSRP, time to look for another game store. But me personally, I don't really go to my local LGS, so I did buy a booster box around 260. 260 is when I bought in. Prices look like they bounced back up because I think I saw them. 277. See, you see a lot of buys right now, so there's a big demand zone around this 270 range. But I think so. See 265, and I think it went as low as 250 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't. There's a bunch. Yeah, 253. That looks like the lowest sale it happened, which I think that's the lowest sale. 253 was the lowest sale, and it bounced back up. So quite interesting coming out. And so we look at some of the cards. We can just go look at Elsa because Elsa pretty much defines this set right now. It's going for 643. There are buyers, but again, it's not a lot of buying pressure. So with this, Elsa hasn't hit a demand zone yet, and I think the card's been going for $600 flat on eBay. So TCG player might not be the best area to buy the card right now. Check your eBay because it looks like $600. That low $600 is the market value right now, not 758. But again, we look at the sale history. There's not a lot of demand, which is actually quite interesting. Seeing all these booster boxes being bought up like now is that you don't see a lot of price movement in these enchanted rares. Stitch has dropped about like $20, and some of these are dropping, but Elsa staying stubborn. But again, I saw a pop report showing there's actually quite a few PSA 10s out there, so you would expect some prices to fall. The Venture Trove has not dropped. Now, this is just based off a rumor that I saw. It's the reason I purchased these two. I just purchased the booster box at 260 because I thought it was a good deal. Me personally, even though I bought it 260, I would have liked it. It dropped a little more, but again, it dropped over like $140. That's a pretty steep discount from a $400 booster box. So I think that's really good. And so the reprints are really hitting the booster box pretty well, but not really affecting the prices of these cards, which is quite interesting. the Disney Lorcana Trove. Now, like I said, the rumor of these two, they're not getting reprinted. Now, what I'm thinking about is like, okay, if it's not going to get, why is it not going to get reprinted? Well, this box is the same size as this box, so they probably need the shelf space for this box more. And this right now is going to be $100 product, which we can check. It's, again, the pre-orders on TCG Player. Nothing's really happening, but what I find interesting, you go to the Floodborne booster box, people are still buying at these outrageous prices after seeing the last booster box. Like, again, I want to know this person right here that bought 4 of them. I want to know what's going through their head. Why did you buy them? I just don't know why would you do that. It doesn't really make sense to me because it's a pre-release and they've just shown that they will print a crap load of this. So I do think you should not be buying anything pre-ordered at all because all this stuff is going to drop really hard starting on November 17th. Now this right here, this is Disney's website, Shop Disney. You can Google it. The Shop Disney is going to be selling this on December 1st. So again, you're going to have like 2 chances to get Floodborne products before the holidays. So first, your big box retailers in your LGSs on November 17th, which is about a week away, which is quite interesting. And so you're going to be able to get the starter decks and this. Personally, I really want to buy 2 of these, but $200, little pricey, but I really do want to buy them. Just to open one, to experience it, and then have one as a sealed collection. The starter decks, it's quite interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy, if I find them at MSRP, I will buy both of them just for collection purposes. Then I want to buy a booster box, so I asked my boss to take November 17th off just to see if I can get some of this stuff, which would be quite cool because I want to have a sealed collection of this. But at this, if you compare the sets, I really like the artwork, the darker color than this booster box. But again, I don't know like how much value this will bring in the long term, but I think the Disney 100 Collector's Edition will. So that's why I want to buy 2 of them at least. So one to open and one to, because I want the Stitch card, because the Stitch card in my collection, that'd be pretty cool. But there's not really much news outside these pricing, as the reprint has hit. You see it happening to the booster boxes. I don't think there's been a reprint for these decks. There hasn't been any. So I think these decks will come out maybe November 17th when the next restock for big box retailers. The Trove and the gift set is still up in the air. They're saying it's not going to get reprinted. So this could be the opportunity to buy. It's up to you. But I think going forward now, people are looking more towards this because of right now on the Lorcana Reddit and Twitter, they keep posting new cards and they're getting hyped up. People really like them. They think it's going to be a big game changer. And there's also, we talked about power creep. It will happen because you look at base set Pokemon and look at Pokemon now. That Charizard will get, the base set Charizard will get destroyed in the game today. So there will be a power creep probably in a couple sets. And I would think if they're going to power creep, they're going to raise the lore probably from 20 to 30 and test it out. And if the games go too fast with the power creep, they'll probably bump it up to 40. We've seen that with, I'm not too sure about Pokemon, but we've seen that with Yu-Gi-Oh! I think life points started around that 2000. In the anime, it started around 2000. I think in the actual game, it was like 4,000. But now we bumped it up to 8,000 life points. So you could see a bump in the amount of lore you need to get. You never know. So some of these sets, like the first edition and maybe Floodborne, will have some long-term value because it's going to be based off the old system. So it's pretty much all I want to talk about. It's a little, it's a shorter video because there's not much to talk about. Just knowing the reprint hit, booster boxes you can get pretty cheap now, but 273, I think that's a little high. Again, I bought mine at like 260, but I would prefer a 220 booster box if you can't find them inside the store. But I think the scalpers are really going to try and push the price compare the TCG player. Now, Elsa, I do think it's not worth $643. I think pretty soon we're gonna see closer to $600 when it evens out. Because these other cards, they're reflecting the reprint price. Simba isn't really. I think Hades is. Mickey Mouse full art. Tinkerbell right there. Belle, Stitch that is now reflecting it. Mickey Mouse, the source, but just not Elsa. I think people just really like Elsa for some reason. But that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed and peace out.